Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. It is another great day, and happy to have you along, no matter where or how you're listening as you travel throughout the day. Keep it locked right where you got it at your radio station dial, 97.7 ESPN, The Ref, always the right call in Evansville, up in the region, on the voice of the region, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM WJOB, and Fort Wayne's only sports station, 1380 The Fan. You've got it where you need to keep it all day long as you travel, and hopefully make your travels a lot easier. If you're following along on social media, you know what to do. And looking forward to another fun day. Mike DeCourcy will join us. Plenty to talk about. Greg Smith as well from On3 Rivals will get you caught up on recruiting and a myriad of other things that are going on out in the sports world. We're closer and closer to the baseball playoffs as the Reds, man, how did they do it? Well, they had a lot of help from the lowly New York Mets, who has, the second largest payroll in all of baseball, $340 million, and don't even make the expanded Major League Baseball playoffs. Meanwhile, the Reds, the Mets payroll is three times as high. Crazy. How's Tim doing up in Fort Wayne? Let's see. Oh, last night, they got it. 2 NFL games. The Jets and the Dolphins, and Denver and Cincinnati. But in that Dolphins game, Tyreek Hill dislocated his knee, also tore his ACL. Man, I've never seen a player with that injured going out of the game on a cart, that upbeat. I have to say, it was amazing. But Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, said he accompanied Hill to the hospital where he was undergoing MRI and a CT scan to determine the extent. So, yeah, it doesn't look good for him. And that's a shame. I hate to see any players, especially great players like that, do that. Brian says the Mets are sucking for Mendoza. Oh, man, wouldn't that stink? Of all things, when you're a high-level college quarterback, and your dream is to make it to the NFL. I mean, let's be honest here. That's the dream of every athlete, to make it to that level. That next level, it's where you want to go. But unless there has been a great trade in your favor, the sucky teams are the ones that have the first drafts usually. Or it could be a team that doesn't need a quarterback that passes on you. It's happened. We'll see. How about this? Paul Finebaum considering leaving ESPN for a run at the Senate. What is it with all these guys in the South that think that they need to be in politics? Tommy Tuberville, rumors about Bruce Pearl, now Paul Finebaum. Oh my gosh, he wants to be. You know why? There is I'm telling you, I truly, honestly believe this is simply so he can get in and have something to do with the management of college football, specifically helping the SEC. I mean, I'm not kidding. That's what I think. I mean, why else? That's nuts. Finebaum said he would run as a Republican and recently relocated from Charlotte back to his hometown of Birmingham, Alabama. Well, doesn't sound like just a rumor. The seat in question belongs to former Auburn coach Tommy Tuberville, who's running for governor. And since Bruce Pearl has said he does not plan to run, I guess Paul Finebaum feels like he needs to pick up the mantle. Wow. I ended up talking to someone who made it clear that there was a desire for me to be involved, Finebaum told Outkick. And this person was compelling and compassionate in the approach to me. And I started thinking about this, Finebaum said. Yeah. How about that? The radio personality was also tight-lipped about his political leanings, told the ESPN that he voted for Trump in 2024, and ESPN tells employees not to discuss politics. Finebaum told The Athletic in July that he is a registered Republican in North Carolina, but that his views on both sides of his political aisle don't attach to either. I feel like I'm a fairly middle-of-the-road person, he said. Moderate is not a popular word anymore. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people like that. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, the scary thing is people like him getting involved. I don't care if he gets in politics, but we know that he has a bias towards college football. It's big enough that if you were involved in that, they're going to bring you in. And I can see him getting in there, weaseling in his way in there, and then having something to do with how football's run. I'm telling you, because there's a lot of talk about how college athletics should be run now. There's the SAFE Act and the SCORE Act that are being pushed by two different agendas. The SCORE Act, if you're not familiar, is more along the lines of something being pushed by the NCAA. And in essence, it protects the educational mission. This is their statement. The SCORE Act protects the educational mission of college athletics and, for the first time in our nation's history, establishes a federal Bill of Rights for college athletes, including uniform NIL rights, protection from predatory agents, yada, yada, yada. But there are people that don't like the SCORE Act. And you'd have to go, it's a lot deeper than just that. Because of where college athletics is. It's such a unique position because it's new. It is new, but it is the money, NIL, rev share, transfer. It has changed. It's as if automobiles had been around for as long as they have been, and all of a sudden 4 years ago or whatever we are now, into how deep we are into this, cars started flying. That's kind of what we have now. Seriously. I mean, if you want to make an analogy, it's as if automobiles, after traveling on the roads for over 100 years, all of a sudden you could fly with them. And that's what's happening. And it's going fast. It's going faster than people can keep up with. And it does need some guardrails. But different people think different things. The NCAA, of course, wants it how they want it. so they can remain relevant. My question is, how much longer are they going to be relevant? I mean, they do a lot of other things. They manage how long are they going to be relevant the way they are, I should say, because I think that they do a good job managing the championships that they put together. Men's, the men's basketball, if they quit screwing with it. But the SCORE Act also embodies and continues the historic commitment to college university, yada, 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 to universities, women's and Olympic sports. That's what the what's the other one? The SCORE Act and the now I've already forgot. I just said it. But some people are concerned that all of this is going to really impact why they say women's sports. I don't know. There's no reason to single out women's sports other than none of them make money, but there are plenty of men's sports that don't make money. You're going to have to stop. People may have to stop and ask themselves, how important is it that colleges have field hockey? Cross country. Sports that, let's be honest, nobody cares about except for the athletes and their parents, that only cost money. They are, if this was a business, yeah, there are some things that you would carry even if they were losing money because they brought some kind of value. But we're talking every single Olympic sport loses money. You've got one main and a second main revenue provider that pays for everything. Football first, men's basketball second. They pay the bill for everything else. How important is it that all of those sports drain that revenue to fans? That's a question. Now, certain schools are great at some sports. Volleyball, the Big Ten has just lit up across the conference, the best volleyball conference in the country. Volleyball is a very, very popular sport among people, period. In high school, out of high school. Hell, I played volleyball recreationally on a team for years. Sand volleyball and indoor. It's great exercise. It's fun. And a lot of people do it. But is that worth keeping and paying for a college program? I'm not advocating either way. I'm asking the questions. Lacrosse is another one. I don't know that Indiana has lacrosse, but there we go. Hey, let's take a break. We'll bring in the man that has always the right opinion, Mike DeCourcy, and we'll talk more about that and plenty more. Appreciate you being with us on this great Tuesday. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this break. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. And Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News joins me now. Sir, how are you?
I am well, Jim. How are you?
If I was any better, I'd be Mike DeCourcy, man.
Which means you'd be headed to Atlantic 10 Media Day in a little bit.
Well, I was hoping you might say heading to Cincinnati for a playoff game.
Why? I can watch it on TV from here, Jim.
I know, but it doesn't sound as good, Mike. It doesn't sound as good, man.
All the games are in LA. Why would I drive 4.5 hours so I can watch it on TV from there?
Are they playing the Dodgers?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh well. Well, at least they made it, right?
They made it. Yes.
We made it. Nice to see you. Good to be here. We'll see you guys next time around.
You know how sometimes they have that champagne celebration on clinching, and you think, well, that seems kind of overkill because isn't the goal later on? Well, with the Reds, you have the celebration.
Let's celebrate now, baby. Yeah, let's celebrate now. Absolutely. Before you join me, I was talking about there are 2 camps right now, and I've already forgotten. I said it earlier and I forgot. The SCORE Act is a piece of legislation that is trying to be pushed along. Then there's one that the Cody Campbell camp is pushing that I am blanking on at the moment.
The Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961, which
that's part of what they're trying to include into what they're pushing. I can't remember. Isn't it another act, so to speak, though?
I don't know if I don't. As far as I know, I mean, from what he has revealed, there is only the effort to update the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961, which was written for professional sports. And I think the update is to try to loop in college sports, which he has never explained what the value of that would be. And I don't think he's interested in explaining it, Jim. I don't think he wants you to know.
SAFE Act. The SAFE Act.
SAFE Act.
Yeah, they call it the SAFE Act is what they're calling it. It's a Democrat authored SAFE Act that apparently aligns more with President Donald Trump's vision for college sports. A person close to the White House said on condition of anonymity, but it does what you're talking about. It expands that Television Act of long ago, but also does some other things. It says its intent is protecting women's and Olympic sports. And I asked a simple question a minute ago, though. How important is it to people that colleges have cross country, that have lacrosse, that have field hockey, that have all of these sports, every one of which are cost money? And I wonder, if universities were run like a business, college athletics, how many companies would carry subsidiaries, basically? I'm going to consider each sport a subsidiary of the main company. Football is men's basketball, women's basketball, whatever. But why would you carry 20 subsidiaries that lose money? I mean, I know that there's a reason for losing money sometimes for tax purposes, whatever, but you're not going to really carry that much of a loss.
Well, if you're a nonprofit, which all the athletic programs are, you might. There are very large companies in America that are set up as nonprofits. And I would imagine that they carry some programs or divisions or whatever you want to call them that lose money because they add value to the company in general. Medical company, for instance, very large medical companies out there operate as nonprofits. And they may carry a research division that might one day cure a specific ailment, but that at the moment and maybe forever doesn't have any significant income and in fact loses money. What bothers me, Jim, is all this. It's all. What's the word I'm looking for? It's all theatrics.
Screwed up.
It's theatrics that's going on relative to the protection of non-revenue sports. Non-revenue sports aren't imperiled, except in those circumstances when schools want to get rid of them. I go back to the pandemic, when the pandemic was used as cover for the elimination of some sports in some places. And it wasn't because the schools didn't have the money at that point. It was because they didn't want to be in that sport anymore. There wasn't that much interest in it. They weren't very good at it. It's whatever it might have been. And they used the pandemic as cover. And now there will be some schools that use the revenue share circumstance that came from the House settlement to get rid of sports that they're not very good at or they don't have a lot of interest in. Nobody comes to the games. Their students aren't engaged, whatever it might be. And so it's not about that. It's about using these theatrics to cover for what you're really trying to accomplish in college sports, which in a lot of instances is to try to wrest the power back from the people who have the power. And who has the power, Jim? The SEC and the Big Ten. And there are people in college athletics, and let's see, Cody Campbell, he went to Texas Tech. He's a booster at Texas Tech. Wonder what he has in mind. So that's what's happening in a lot of circumstances. And so I don't have much time for that. I don't think that we're likely to get congressional legislation passed anytime soon. I mean, my goodness, the House and Senate are so divided. And I realize that the Republicans have majorities in both houses as well as the presidential signature, presumably, if they did pass a bill. But they can't even get a budget done, Jim. So what are the odds they're going to figure out how to deal with college sports?
Government's shutting down tomorrow or whatever the hell it is. I don't know how they're going to worry about this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly my point. They can't figure that out. College athletics is even more complicated than the U.S. budget.
They probably looked at this and said, "Oh, to hell with this. Let's go back to our own budget. That's a lot easier dealing with that stuff." But it's a balance of power, and it cracks me up. And every time I see a lot of people are using women's sports to prop this up too, as oh my God, you're going to kill the women's sports. And it's crying wolf. It's baloney. It's like
they're certainly not going to do that, Jim, because
Title IX
still exists. Thank goodness it does, but it still exists, and no one has come after that yet. Happily, it has not. No one's come after that yet, but you still have to balance the number of participants to a degree within your athletic departments, depending on how your Title IX compliance is evaluated. There are 3 prongs. You can't be in violation of all of them, let's put it that way. And one of the prongs is as close to numerical equivalence as possible. And there are a couple others that you can if you don't have the numerical equivalents, you can meet the others and perhaps be in compliance. And so there's nobody out there that's going to take significant chunks out of their women's athletic department now because it imperils the possibility of you being in compliance. Now, you might think that you could get away with it and you might get sued, and maybe you think the courts will be in your favor. I don't know, but it's much less costly to just keep running cross country or keep rowing or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and earlier you mentioned the I forget the exact name of the television act from
the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961. I never thought I would have to know about that in 2025, but I did.
That was before I was even born. I cannot believe that there was something that, but wait, basically what that does or would do is that would take all the money that the Big Ten gets, that the SEC gets, that little bit that the ACC gets, the Big 12 and anybody else, and puts it all in one pool and theoretically and divide it out. And I can tell you right now, there's no way on God's green earth that the SEC and Big Ten are going to allow that.
That's the thing, Jim, and that's why it doesn't make any sense because they don't have to play ball with the others if they don't want to.
And they won't if you push them too far.
And that's what you're imperiling if you do this. If you try to push into existence a college athletic system that they did not design or had no voice in designing, they can very easily say, you know what, we're just not playing with you guys anymore. We're going to go do our own thing. They could do that. And that's why the Campbell vision for the future is not the way to go. It's the way to go maybe for Texas Tech, but it's not the way to go. There's so much flawed about what he has proposed. And I'm planning to publish a column about that in the near future. But suffice to say, it's not the way college athletics needs to go.
No, and that's the problem. Now you've got people like Paul Finebaum threatening to enter the Senate race, which I don't doubt that he will. And because he's moved back from Charlotte, that's probably not a coincidence. Back to his hometown in Alabama, where he will probably easily get elected. And not only will he be a mouthpiece, but I think he will be a mouthpiece for the SEC. But probably maybe he's better for sports in there because he's from the other side. I don't know. I can't say. We see what he does on TV now, but part of that's a shtick, part of it's not. Who knows? But why do some of these, the seat he's taken or would be taking is that of former coach Tommy Tuberville, who many thought Bruce Pearl was going to take. And it's like,
I'm still not ruling that out, Jim. I'm still not ruling out him running. I know he said that he's not intending to do that, but he also said not long ago he didn't intend to leave coaching. So I'm not going to necessarily buy that he's not going to run. We'll see. I think it may depend on who else does, but I suspect that Bruce is very interested in that.
Yeah, and it's the timing of his retirement odd. Partly, I understand it probably helped his son get the job, akin to Bob Knight back in the day when he crossed the magic mark line of the all-time wins leader and then said, all right, that's it. I'm out. And Pat took over. Kind of same situation. I was a little surprised at how that went down there, but it is what it is. I was surprised to see him retire, but he had to retire with something in mind, and I have to think that might be it.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people inside the business have been saying recently, that he would leave and he would run. And So when he did leave, I wasn't surprised at all, and not many of the other writers that I converse with frequently were surprised. It just was what day it was that maybe we didn't see coming, but not a surprise. And then, like I said, he said he's not going to run, but again, he had said very recently that he was not going to leave coaching soon, and then decided that he would leave coaching immediately. So,
but aren't we
I
used
think
to
it's very
coaches saying that?
possible.
I mean, that's what they do.
Politicians often, you may be surprised by this, Jim, but politicians often don't tell the truth. They tell you what's convenient for them at the time.
That's a shocker. I did not know that. Yeah, great shocker. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News with us. Glad to have him along as always. Make sure you're giving him a follow and reading his great content at the Sporting News, our nation's oldest publication. Hey, did I tell you I had Bill Bender on?
You did, yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember. My mind is crazy. God, what a great guy. Seriously, he seemed like just such a super good guy.
He really is a terrific guy. Great teammate. Love working with Bill. Great, just a terrific family man. And although I wished he'd pushed his son into soccer rather than lacrosse, because the U.S. national soccer team needs all the great athletes it can get. But other than that, he's the best, and he does a phenomenal job covering college football for the Sporting News.
Absolutely. And boy, what another great weekend of college football that we had this past weekend. Of course, Indiana went to Iowa, won a gritty game that, some questions about the offensive play calling, to be honest with you. I've never, ever once questioned anything about what they've done since Cignetti has been here. But that game in the second half, I had nothing but questions, and it was one single question. Why in the hell are you doing the same thing that you tried to do in the first half that did not work? You scored one touchdown, and that was off of a turnover where you were already in the red zone to begin with. They just never – they kept trying to run the offense that they've ran so well this year. But, hey, Iowa has – they've got some pretty daggone good players. And they weren't sacking Mendoza. They got to him twice, but getting some pressure in there. But they never changed. They were going back and setting up for the same old plays that take 5-6 seconds to develop, instead of the actual play that won the game for them, which was nothing but a quick drop back, 6-yard slant, bam, and then boom. But that's what I was wondering. Why are you not doing things like that the entire second half? Because they have the guys to do it. I mean, man, they could have done so many different things, and it made me wonder a little bit. It harkened me back to the Ohio State game where they were kind of overmatched, but this one wasn't about being overmatched. It was about, to me, not making a second half adjustment.
Well, I think, first of all, what I'd say is that the Ohio State game, they couldn't block the
right.
Buckeyes.
That's why I was like, yeah.
They could. They poor Curtis Rourke, man.
It was the blitz. They kept bringing the blitz. Yeah. Well, so did Iowa. And that's why I'm like, why are you not making an adjustment here? Because do you think that Oregon's not watching this and going, oh, okay, we just need to blitz? Because they don't handle the blitz well, especially in the noise where they cannot audible out.
Well, with the college athlete, it's a little bit easier to make. It's a little bit more difficult, I should say, to make that adjustment at the collegiate level than it might be if you were an NFL team at halftime. You go in with a plan, you can tweak it a little bit. Ultimately, it worked. Let's not forget that part of it.
Oh, that's absolutely.
They won 20-15 against a team that is known for playing significant defense, that had played significant defense earlier this season. I would say that getting out of there, when you play on the road, you get out of there with a win, especially over a quality opponent. You don't worry too much about the style, and you try to learn, okay, so they did these things and we didn't counter. Next time we see them, we have to be ready for that. But this is still very early in the season for Indiana, Jim. They played nobody the first 3 weeks. They played nobody, and this is kind of the price.
Dominion's a lot better than people think.
I'm sorry?
Old Dominion's a lot better than people think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Old Dominion does a nice job. Ricky Rane does a really good job, and
I mean, their quarterback is ranked high in the stats.
It's a quality team. It's not as bad as the early season schedule that Penn State played, but it's still not what it's still not what it could be or should be. If you want to get ready for the Big Ten, you're stepping up in class significantly. Old Dominion beats bad ACC teams. I mean, they might be able to beat the worst Big Ten teams, but they're not going to beat good Big Ten teams. It's not the same as playing against a quality opponent like Virginia, for instance, which has shown itself.
Good thing that they canceled that series, huh?
No, I still don't think so. I still think you want to play those games, because if you'd won it, it would have really, really spoken well for the Hoosiers. And I think they probably would win it. But I do think that when you play those sorts of teams, you get some exercise and you sort of get comfortable playing football, but you don't really learn what it's like to play significant opposition like Iowa, like Illinois. And they were ready for Illinois, I think in part because they were at home, in part because Illinois turned out to be, although still a quality opponent, not on Indiana's level at this stage. But I think over time, I think the Hoosiers are going to be fine. I look at Indiana now, and if you're a Hoosiers fan, are you not sitting here thinking, yeah, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, or we're not going to say this out loud? But man, that Penn State game, that could be huge. If we just keep the car on the track, that Penn State game could be huge, and it could really be program defining for the Hoosiers.
Big time. As a matter of fact, that's what I was going to bring up next, and I'll wait till our next segment to do that. In addition to also asking about James Franklin, man. He's now 4-21 against was it top 10 teams, 1-15
top 10, yes,
against
4-21.
top 5. So, but we'll talk about all that and more. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News is with us. Make sure you're giving him a follow and keeping up with this content there. Back with more from Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this little break. Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for being with us. And as you travel throughout the day, just keep it locked where you got it. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News with us. And Penn State, man, once again, James Franklin taking some heat as he now is 4-21 in top 10 matchups, and boy, that's just not good. If and this is a big if Kurt Signetti were to go to Oregon and win, he would win half as many this year as Franklin has lifetime. That would be his second one this season after beating Illinois. But I know it's hard to put those numbers, but man, as was it Dennis Green's or whoever says or Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. And
well, yeah, and I think that's a great point, Jim. They now on Saturday they were third in the rankings, and Oregon was sixth. But I looked at this last week. They were 4-20 entering the game against the Ducks. 4-20, and you know what? They had been in out of those 24 games, they were the higher ranked team 4 times. Now they didn't. I don't know that they all correlated. All the wins correlated with the time they were higher, and all the losses were lower. But in general, if the rankings are to be believed, they did what they were supposed to do in those games.
Right.
They're not as good a program as Ohio State. At this moment, they are not. It's that simple. They haven't been for as long.
You are.
They haven't really been since the turn of the century. They haven't been as good a program. Out of those 21 losses, I believe 9 were to Ohio State. And they beat Ohio State one time in that period of time. So they're not as good as Ohio State. Okay. So you fire a guy for that?
I'm not suggesting it fire him, but
I'm not saying you, but there are people who are suggesting that they should.
If they're not as good as Ohio State, who gets them to that point? I mean,
nobody.
It's up to the
coach. Because they haven't been that team probably ever. I mean, have they had better teams than Ohio State in given years? Yes, but they weren't playing in the same league then, and I'm not 100% sure that if they played in the same league, they would have. There were periods of time in the 80s, maybe the 70s, although Penn State's schedules were not as difficult in those periods as maybe it would have been to play in the SEC or the Big Ten or whatever when Penn State was an independent in the 70s. But since they joined the conference, Ohio State's been a much better program. It's not been, I mean, I guess you could say it's been close because Penn State's been in the upper echelon, but they've not been as good. And I looked at it for the 21st century under Paterno. He was there for the first 10 and a half years, and his numbers weren't appreciably better than Franklin's, and they certainly weren't better overall. I think Joe had 3 losing seasons in the first 11 years, 10 and a half years of this century. And Franklin's not had any, or he had one. He had the pandemic year. They were not good. Micah Parsons chose not to play, and they did not have a quality season in the pandemic year. But they've had a winning record in every full season of college football that James Franklin has coached. They've won double digits more times than Paterno did in this century. So one of the things I don't like about what happens in the media now is that we find a negative and then we flog it.
Oh boy,
beyond belief. And they do that here in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. The negative is that he hasn't won a playoff game since 2016.
That's what gets the attention, unfortunately, sadly.
That's what, and so look, Franklin hasn't shied away from it, and I respect that. And I think there have been circumstances where he's made some really curious decisions, but I don't know that Saturday was one of those. I don't know who called the first down pass that Drew Aller had intercepted. But I guess the one thing that you could say is that he's continued to trust Aller in those circumstances.
Well, he played very, very well in that second half. So I'm not going to question their play.
But Aller has thrown big interceptions, Jim. He threw a big interception in the Notre Dame game, man. He threw a big interception in the Oregon championship game in Indy last year. And now he did this. So, they had just taken control of the game by picking off the 2-point pass. They're in control now. They have the 4 downs, and so all they have to do is score and convert their 2-pointer, and they win the game. They're in control, and they never even got past the first play. So I can't hang that on James Franklin. I just don't think that's reasonable. I do think that they want him to do better, and he wants them to do better. But the idea that he's not doing a good job there is preposterous.
I'm trying to remember who they play other than Indiana.
They have a road game against Ohio State prior
Ohio State.
I think
Ohio
it's
State.
late October, prior to the Indiana game.
At Ohio State on top of
Yes.
that.
It actually might be in the week before. It might go Ohio State first week in November, Indiana second week in November, something like that. So
Indiana could go there. I mean, they could be out of the Big Ten race by then if they lose to Ohio State. You shouldn't say out of, but
they would be in dire straits for that. I mean,
right.
It's going to be very difficult for anybody to win this conference with 2 losses. Although remember, the race somewhat now with the way the league is defined is to finish first or second. You can call it a regular season championship if you like. I don't know if anybody does that or not, but the real Big Ten championship is decided on the field at Lucas Oil. And so if you're second, and I think you could quite possibly finish second with 2 losses. But if they were to lose at Ohio State, Penn State's entire season would rest on the Hoosiers game.
Yeah, they would be. Yeah, absolutely. And Indiana with the shoe on the other foot, if they lose at Oregon, their college football playoff hopes, I don't know. Possibly they could lose both of those games and make it in because of the strength of those. We'll have to wait and see about that.
Right.
But Indiana, they would have its greatest opportunity ever. I asked, yesterday. Yeah, I know that Indiana played at Ohio State last year with all that was on the line, but they lost. So is this game at Oregon the biggest road game in IU history right now? I'd say it is because of what it offers.
Well, I think it's huge, Jim, but don't forget they went into Ohio State at what, 11-0, 10-0?
Yeah. No,
you had established at that point, you were one of them. Like you were in there. And so, and Ohio State was undefeated at Ohio State were they undefeated at the time when they went in? They had lost the road to Oregon.
Yeah, they lost Oregon by 1, which they probably should have won. That was that screwy call there at the end.
But that was huge. I mean, is this a great opportunity for the Hoosiers? It's a phenomenal opportunity. But honestly, I think with the way the schedule breaks, as we look at basketball often, the old idea, win all your home games, win half your road games, and you're in contention for the conference title. That's been the basketball formula forever. I think you can go into Oregon, and there's a great opportunity there. But the real circle the wagons game, the one that becomes it really is the Penn State game. I mean, you have to take care of business in all those other challenging games. I mean, Michigan State might not be easy. Maryland on the road. Terps have played well. So you have to, and of course, you have to take care of UCLA. But right now, that doesn't seem that daunting. But that's why I think the real opportunity is the one in Happy Valley. Now, if you beat Oregon, you've completely redefined your season, your program, everything. If you can take care of Oregon,
you will shock the world.
Yeah, I think
shock the world. They're a double-digit underdog right now.
It won't shock those who have followed this program. People like you. People like Kravitz, and people who listen to you and read Kravitz, Greg, and etc. Zach Osterman. You have tried to tell people, look, this isn't a joke. This is serious. This is real. And I think that some people caught on when they went out and just absolutely obliterated a quality Illinois team. but I still think you need to take down one of the brands, and Oregon has established itself as one of those teams now. So it doesn't have to be them, but if you got them, boy, it really be something.
Absolutely. What's up next for you, Mike?
Yeah, what's next for me, I have a column coming out about Arkansas and their decision. I am attending Atlantic 10 conference meeting today here in Pittsburgh. This is the 50th anniversary. And see, they sent me this really cool drink coaster.
I was just thinking about that. The last true media gift I think I received was a what you call like a DOP kit kind of a thing from the Gator Bowl. And that's been, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. They just, it's gone away, and it kind of sucks because those are just cool things.
Yeah, I'm not big on accepting gifts, but it's only a coaster, and it's a really nice
I'm talking about cool little things like that are neat.
Yes. I don't usually accept a lot of them, but this is I really like this. I was in high school when the Atlantic 10 started, and Duquesne won the first ever league championship. I will tell you that I was today years old, as they say on the internet, when I discovered how many original members are left in the league. If you can name them, Jim, I will send you $100. You have to name them quick, though, because I don't want you to search it.
There's no way, brother. I won't even make an attempt.
There are two now. The original conference was called the Eastern Eight. And
so these the original members?
The original conference was called the Eastern Eight, so there were 8 members, and there are 2 left.
Rhode Island. Was Rhode Island one of them?
They joined later. Duquesne was one. That's why it's here in Pittsburgh, and George Washington. Those are the only 2 that are left. St. Bonaventure came a little later. Rhodey came a little later. UMass was an original member, but they just booked for the MAC. So they're out. So now we're down to 2 original members, Norm Nixon, the great Norm Nixon, led the Dukes to the first championship and to the NCAA tournament. And that the Atlantic 10 tournament will be here at PPG Paints Arena this March. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of basketball people today. It's all you know this, Jim. It's always nice to hang out with hoops people.
Oh, it's just fun to get out there and see people. Appreciate you as always, my friend.
Thanks, Jim. You too.
Enjoy it. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. More coming up. Greg Smith from On3 Rivals will join us. We'll talk some football recruiting and plenty more to talk about here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with it right after these messages.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, FreeThink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. FreeThink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. FreeThink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what FreeThink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us, no matter where and how, as you travel throughout the day. Jim Coyle with you as always. Greg Smith will join us in the next segment. We'll talk some football recruiting. Something you want to hear of an incredible stat. You may have seen this, you may not. FBS teams, football bowl subdivision teams, that's the upper level, in the last 30 years to have 1,300 passing yards and 1,300 rushing yards with 2 or fewer turnovers through 5 games of a season. Do you know how many teams that is? 1. Indiana. That is kind of amazing. Yeah, that's an amazing stat. It's something, but it shows you the ability of this Indiana offense. Again, why I was a little surprised by Saturday, but that gives them something to work on, because if they can change that up going to Oregon, they're going to need to. But something else I didn't realize. Oregon, Alton Stadium, which is known to be an extremely tough place to play, it only holds 54,000. It's just like it's the same size as Memorial Stadium. But now Memorial Stadium was Illinois would probably say that was a tough place to play 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, week and a half. And it rocks out there. You got the hills that surround it, so it probably maybe helps keep that sound in. But it's not where Indiana's not going to this 80, 90, 100,000 seat stadium where it's just no chance. But it's going to be tough. You've got the 3 time zone difference, which people can poo-poo that all they want. It's a real thing. Look at the stats. And it works both ways. USC, for example, just came back to Illinois. Only 2 time zones. Lost. I did not think that would happen. But Illinois bounced back after the shellacking Indiana gave them, which is a huge help to Indiana. Because I'll be honest with you, I was thinking that USC maybe, you've got Oregon and Ohio State, maybe Penn State, Indiana, definitely up there, then Michigan. I thought USC was up there next. And it's not to say that they're not. They lose on a walk-off field goal. But it's tough making that distance. And it's going to be just as tough for Indiana. Now, I know that last year they went to Los Angeles. I was there at the Rose Bowl when they took down UCLA. Didn't seem to have many problems. The offense was in rhythm, and this is further along in the season. Not only is it further along in the season, they've played 5 games already, and they're going to have 6 weeks under their belt because of this open week. So it's going to be week 7 when they play that game. Should be rested up, and it gives them 2 weeks to fix the inability of audibling. I don't know if Fernando has the authority to audible, period, right now. I don't know that. But I think that has to come about when you get in certain situations like they did against Iowa on that second any of their 4th and 1s. If there's something you see that is probably going to blow the play up, you should have a checkout. And while it is hard in those situations with the noise, you've got to have a way to do it. And everybody has to just be eyes on the quarterback. And you can give us, it could be you have a second play already called. And even if you scream, your guys probably aren't going to hear it, but you've got, signal, you can double, slap your helmet with both hands or something so the guys see it. Unfortunately, the linemen are going to have trouble. They'll have to turn around. We see that a lot. Turn around in their stance before they get set. We'll certainly see how that what they do. Wisconsin, Luke Fickell continues to try to get it going for the Badgers, but they travel to the Big House this week. So they'll take on number 20 Michigan, noon game at Fox. The Illini, they're going to keep their party rolling. They go to Purdue. Although last year, this game, Wisconsin was up like 1,000-0 at the half, and Purdue stormed back, scored like 39 second half points or something, and made that a very tight game. Michigan is a 16.5 point favorite at home over Wisconsin. The Illini are a 9.5 point favorite right now at home. Penn State continues the easiest schedule in the Big Ten. They go to UCLA as a 26.5 point favorite. Washington comes to Maryland. Oh, you want to talk about some travel. I like Washington, but not in that game. And Washington's a 6.5 point favorite. No way. I'm taking Maryland. I would take Maryland and the points, baby. Maryland's not bad. And that is the longest travel you could have, coast to coast. Northwestern with a tough one. They may get a win this week. They may not. Louisiana Monroe comes in. Michigan State goes to Nebraska. Dylan Raiola is having a good season. Minnesota goes to Ohio State. The NCAA stats have been jumbled a bit, but Indiana's still at the top of thing. Let's see, they're number 5 right now in total defense, allowing only 221 yards per game. Missouri leading the country. How about that? The Tigers from Missouri. 203 yards per game. Oklahoma. James Madison behind them. Texas, number 4. I've got my doubts about Texas because of the offense. But when you have a really good defense, you're always in the game. But Indiana does have a really good offense and I don't know if I can say a better defense, but a more consistent defense. Sitting there at number 5. Looks like they have not the most, but only giving up 4.21 yards per play. Not bad. But that's the thing about this program now. It is good on both sides. Back in the days of daggone it, drawing a blank. The guy that ended up going to Tulsa, he went to Oklahoma as the OC for a while. Man. Before he brought Tom Allen in, then they were all offense. They would lose games 48-46. Kevin Wilson. Brain fart. Ohio State sitting at number 8 there. And then number 11 is Oregon. They're only averaging 238 yards per game. They're giving up 4.16 yards per play. So this is going to be a defensive struggle, possibly as much as anything else. It's not going to be a shootout. I mean, think about the Iowa game, but with a hell of a lot better offense. They've got a young quarterback, Dante Moore. He's killing it. They've got a freshman wide receiver who led their team to that victory over Penn State. Not bad. Not bad at all. fourth down conversions. Why Indiana's going to have to stop having the ego to go for it on every fourth down opportunity, or they're going to have a way to audible. Man, Iowa just stacked the box on them, and there was nothing they could do about it, and there was no way that play was ever going to work. As far as completion percentage, 1, 2, 3, the three of the top 4 quarterbacks from the Big Ten, 5 of the top 11 from the Big Ten, and sitting at number 10 and 11, Oregon, or Indiana and Oregon, rather, in that order. 73% for Indiana, 72% for Oregon. Wow. I mean, this is a pretty damn close matchup. You wouldn't think it, but statistically, these two teams match up. Now, you have to play in the factor that where this game is going to be played, the travel, all of that. So, yeah, Dante Moore, a not only a dual threat quarterback, but a good dual threat quarterback. Brian points out Iowa only has 2 more road games. Well, that'll benefit them as they head to another bowl game in the Kirk Ferentz era. This has to be Kirk Ferentz's last year if Iowa has any desire to be better than what they are. He's a great coach. He's the all-time winningest coach in the Big Ten. I don't think that record will ever be broken because you're never going to see someone with the longevity that he has had. But it is, if you want to take a step up, it's time to change. It's time to get off of the 3 clouds or 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Although they did, they had a better offense against Indiana, but it's nothing. Indiana still shut them down. Less than 100 yards rushing, less than 200 yards passing. That's not going to win you many games. 5 says the defense has been very impressive this season. Excellent tackling. They will need to keep that up. Yep, the Oregon running back is fast. The defense has been spectacular. Brian Haynes and Pat Kuntz and that entire crew, absolutely. Special teams have been good. This team is very well coached. That is such a difference maker when you're well coached at virtually every position. You don't make mistakes, which are generally costly mistakes. I mean, those stupid false starts on offense, 9 times out of 10 will end a drive. Indiana's had the ability to get around that, but Joe hopes that Kirk Ferentz stays at Iowa forever. But yeah, the Big Ten is all over the NCAA stats. I'm looking for total offense, which is probably way down here. Here we go. Indiana dropped a little bit this week. They're down to 6th. They only put up 538 yards per game now. Oregon, just a little bit behind them at 503 yards per game. This is going to be, this could be an incredible game because, man, do they match up. But I have to be honest with you. Dan Lanning is one hell of a coach. Brian says the most important coach IU has not named. Oh, Signetti is Bostad. Yeah. Well, no, he's paid. He's well respected as the offensive line coach. Trust me. He gets mentioned a lot. I'm quite certain that Signetti wants to keep his entire staff together. That's why so many of them have been with him. Brian Haynes has been with him for over a decade. That's unheard of. How long can Indiana keep him? We'll see. You know, how much of a desire is it to go out and be a head coach? You know, not everybody wants that, because you can make some pretty damn good money being a really good coordinator. And I've had several people ask me about ISB hats because I'm wearing one. And we're getting all that stuff reordered and set up, and hopefully get a store set up for you. Just to FYI. Who else on as I look through these stats is the one team that I do not see? Penn State. I don't see them in the top 50. Now, I could be missing them with my eyes, but I do not see them listed in the top 50 to my knowledge. Washington is. Miami's all the way down to 29th, unbelievably. Ohio State is 33rd. A little surprising. Alabama, they're at 37. This is total offense, 443 yards. Huge win for Kalen DeBoer and Alabama over the weekend, beating Georgia for the second straight year, this time on the road. That snapped the nation's longest winning streak, home winning streak at 33 games. Now, the owner of that record, the Oregon Ducks. Can Indiana snap their, what I believe is a 15-game home winning streak? Indiana is currently at 12, I believe. And I would expect that to go to 13, 14, 15 by the end of this season. If Indiana or someone beats Oregon this year, Indiana will probably be right next in line. Can you imagine hearing that? The nation's longest home winning streak belongs to Indiana. That would be that's just another thing. Why would it not? It'd be, might as well. Everything else is of these crazy things. Indiana 5-0 for the second consecutive year. Never happened before. Never. I gave you that stat earlier. The only FBS team in the last 30 years. The only to have 1,300 yards, both passing and rushing, and less than 2 turnovers through the first 5 games. I mean, it's just great being number one at anything. That's pretty impressive. Very impressive to me. What is going on at Penn State? The offense looks shockingly bad. Well, they never had one really, but we'll talk about all that and more. Greg Smith from On3 Rivals joins us next. We'll bat around a bunch of numbers and a bunch of recruiting information. Looking forward to it. We're back with plenty more from the ISB studios right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Tuesday. Happy to have you along, no matter where or how you're joining us as you travel throughout the day. Keep it locked right here on all the radio stations. Joined now by Greg Smith from On3 Rivals. Haven't seen you for a while, brother. How are you?
I'm doing very well, man. I'm in a new location since the last time you talked to me. As you can see by this box that's over here in the corner, we are still kind of unpacking the house. But no, good to see you, man.
Great backdrop. I know that you've got more things that you're probably going to add to it, but yeah, it's a good looking, man. Good looking little setup.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All credit to the wife, of course. You know, I did not pick out any of this. So, yeah, that's how it goes.
As you can see, I don't have one, so that's why I am such a, a scatterbrain. But no, Greg with On3 Rivals and was formerly with Rivals, and now On3 has absorbed Rivals, and kind of keeping it separate with Rivals, handling all of the recruiting side of things. And that's just what Greg did before anyway. And so just keep on rolling with that, man. But it's gotten recruiting is getting harder because more people have money and there are more teams that are good.
Yes, and it's funny because we've been talking about this, right? And the time that I've been coming on the show, like it's been a really interesting time because the access to players has kind of spread out, right, across the country to different teams within conferences that had not necessarily had access to those guys before, as we have talked about clearly with Indiana and what they've been doing. I think it's a really, really interesting time in recruiting in general because of that. Like, I know that there's like some complaining out there from all over the place about kind of the impact of money and what has happened with these recruiting battles. But one of the things that you kind of can't deny is that it has definitely spread the talent out around the country. No longer can like Alabama or even Georgia, we saw them over the weekend, or Ohio State in the Big Ten, like no longer can those teams just hoard talent or even the best recruits in a class. Like those guys can be up for grabs depending on what type of financial packages other teams can put together. I think it's overall good for the sport.
Absolutely. And we have seen the product. I've talked about this a number of times. Hell, I said it last year. It was the best year ever for college football. It was awesome. I mean, everybody agrees, and that has continued. And how do you not love that? I mean, there are still teams that kind of stand at the top and separate themselves, like Ohio State and whoever it's going to be. I don't know from the SEC right now, to be honest with you. Who is Missouri maybe the best team in the SEC? They're number 1 in defense, Greg, and number 4 in total offense.
Yeah, I mean, the running back is awesome. Should be getting more love for the Heisman conversation. Once we kind of get past everybody only talking about quarterbacks for Heisman, I think that
John Mateer getting pushed by Kirk Herbstreit every day.
Yes, that too. Like, I get it. He's been good. Mateer has been good, but if he's not about to play for a few weeks, like, it's okay to just go ahead and drop him off of the list. Like, we know how that's going to go. But no, Missouri, very good. Missouri also, talk about teams to bring the conversation back to what we started out talking about, teams that have invested financially to be able to put their team together, both in the transfer portal and on the traditional recruiting trail. Missouri is definitely one of those teams. And so, yeah, they've got a shot in the SEC right now. We'll see how it shakes out. Alabama has I still very intrigued by what they're doing because they still have all that talent. And if Ty Simpson looks like he did in Athens the night all year, like they're going to be tough.
You're not going to hold Kalen DeBoer down. Kalen DeBoer is a great coach.
Yes.
I think that going to Alabama has been, I don't want to say a culture shock, but it is a coaching shock of sorts, because previously you had Nick Saban, and teams generally take on the persona of their head coach. Well, we know what Nick Saban was like. Kalen DeBoer is not like that. And so you had a whole group of guys that are that types, and that's probably the type of guys that were recruited. And so that's going to take a while to kind of wash through that. It's not that Kalen DeBoer is not competitive. He is. It's just a very different way. Look at Kurt Signetti. His team is definitely taking on his persona, chip on their shoulder, playing. It's like they're playing against the world. They play to 110% every game. But it's you've got to have that mix, and I think that's what's taken time at Alabama. But I mentioned Missouri. They have to play yet. Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. That's part of their schedule coming up. So we'll know whether or not Missouri is what they are. The Big Ten, huge games coming up for them, of course. But from a recruiting standpoint, New Life asked, what does Indiana have to do to improve their recruiting? Which I think the recruiting is improving personally.
Yeah, I would say I actually think they have improved their recruiting. And I think that one of the really interesting ways that you can track this, and it gets a little tricky, is notice the other teams trying to come in on Indiana commitments. I just wrote yesterday about Jaden Williams, a good linebacker commit that Indiana has out of Ohio. Ohio State last week offered him a scholarship, and they're working hard to get him on campus because even though he's in their backyard, they've just discovered him after missing on some other targets, right? You've seen other guys in that Indiana class that have gotten interest from other schools, whether it's other, teams down south in the SEC or other Big Ten powers. And I think that that's your first sign that Kirk Signetti and this staff have done a really nice job of first identifying under the radar talent, and then two, getting them committed, getting their verbal commitment. Now there's the third step, obviously, of getting them all the way to signing day and keeping them in the class. So those are the first couple signs to see that they are improving the recruiting. The other thing is you have a guy like Jalen Brewster who comes on campus, a 5-star defensive lineman from Texas, who was there a couple of weeks ago. When you start to see those types of guys and names with those types of stars and accolades next to their name coming to campus for visits, that's another good sign. I think that their recruiting is going in the right direction, and it'll only continue to go up. And then we'll see the same thing in the transfer portal, because we know what they've been able to do with this staff, identifying guys in the portal and then being able to coach them up quickly. I think they're in a fine spot for where they should be with recruiting.
Well, and they got a commitment from a quarterback in the 27 class, and that's almost unheard of now, that far out. These kids generally are waiting to say, hey, what comes up next? But I wonder, should college football make commitments more like national letters of intent? So we don't have all of this. We don't have all of this backhanded stuff that's going to be going on after, either there's a commitment is worthless. So why have it? I don't. It's like a prom. It's like being in 8th grade and you give a girlfriend a promise ring, like the ring before the ring. What the hell? Who cares?
Man, I had not thought about a promise ring in years, man. But yes, I've given a promise ring or two in my day. So yeah, I get it. It's funny. It's interesting on both sides of that, right? Like on one hand, I'm sure there are coaches that are like, yeah, I would love to say, hey, when you go ahead and give me your verbal pledge, you have the option to sign something, and that kind of locks it in. I think that there would be coaches that would be in favor of that. I think that there would be prospects and high school coaches that would be in favor of it. The problem is that on the other side of that is that we know that every school is also trying to flip commitments and get guys to change their minds. So then do you actually support that? Because it also, yes, it helps you on one hand to protect your commitments and keep them locked in. But on the other hand, every school is also trying to be out here flipping kids too. So, would you really want that to happen? So I don't know. I could make the argument either way, and I think coaches would too.
I think that would only work, I think, Greg, if there was a limit to the transfer, because this would be, you're like, well, all right, well, I'm committed, but I'm transferring to wherever. So
yeah, I'll just do it.
As long as
okay.
there's an unlimited transfer limit, then you can't do anything about that, sadly, because it does suck. I mean, it sucks for fans, it sucks for the team, sucks for the coaches who put all that work in and then have to continue to do it. It's like, my God, I don't know how they keep up with it. Just being close to Kurt Signetti and those crew, how they manage all of that stuff of today's recruiting and then keeping them being your recruits. And then you got to keep recruiting them after they've committed.
That's the thing, is that it's not just that the time that it takes to land the kid, it's the extra time that you end up having to spend to be able to keep those kids. It's why so many coaches were happy with being able to have that December signing period. That was the really big deal with that, because remember back before the December signing period, Kurt Signetti would have to go on the road to basically babysit his current commitments in that time in between the end of the season in February. Now those guys sign in December. You don't have to spend that time going out and flying around the country to see them. You can focus on that next recruiting class. So yeah, that's definitely a factor when it comes to stuff like this, is having to babysit those kids that are already in your signing class.
And to be honest, though, Kurt Signetti has done such a great job identifying guys out of the portal. Zin Mikowski is right now an offensive lineman who it was an Indiana kid. Actually went to my high school at Floyd Central, but ended up going to Ohio State first and then ends up coming over to Indiana. Well, you know what? Hey, great. Let them go over there and get that first year of training in. You're basically probably not going to play, and they're going to put you through everything. It works out. Kurt Signetti always talks about production over potential, although I know he wants to have good recruiting classes. How many of these guys can you expect to have for 4 years anyway?
Right. Yeah, that's a big part of it. And that's why I actually really like what he says there about production over potential, because I think that one of the things that you sometimes see in the portal is teams get really excited about getting, say, the Ohio State, kind of bounce back. And now in that case with the offensive lineman, it's worked out for Indiana. But oftentimes you see this where kids leave from Georgia or LSU or USC or Texas, like somewhere like that, and they just maybe weren't good enough, right? A lot of times what you really want to do is you want to get those kids that came from a lower level school or a school that teams may not be thinking about that actually had production at those schools, because then that's an actual indicator of their future success when they get to your school. And that's what Indiana has done a great job of, getting those kids that were kind of under the radar, even in the transfer portal, that had production at lower levels. And then they come up and what do you know? They're producing at Indiana as well.
Yeah. And so winning the battle of in-state recruits has been something that Indiana has started to get done. Now, I'm not saying winning the battle with, say, Ohio State. I'm talking about, say, with Purdue, because Purdue actually was winning the state 2 years ago. They were pulling in the recruits because of Jeff Brom being successful there, and Indiana was not successful. But that has changed. And while Indiana is not a state that produces the most talent in the country as far as football, they have great players that come out, period. Every state does. So you want to get those great players. You want to get the best players of your state, first of all. But this has become, it doesn't really matter where they're from anymore.
Yeah, it has become, it's interesting you say this, because it is, on one hand, Indiana as a state does not produce a ton of football talent, but I think it's on the rise. Like, there's a number of players that are coming up. As you look in that 27 class and beyond, obviously the big time wide receiver, Manchin Sales, is coming up, and he's being recruited by the Who's Who as a 2027 kid. He's a borderline 5-star for us. But there's others that are continuing to come through that pipeline. And as you said, it's not necessarily that you have to beat the kids that Ohio State or even Oregon are going after, but can you keep those kids away from Purdue? Because Purdue under Jeff Brom was a competitive football team, right? So when they were getting all of those guys. So if Indiana now starts to pick off all of those guys, A, it helps your football team, which is first and foremost, but B, it hurts the in-state rival, right? Like it's a double whammy where it ends up really boosting your program and hurting your rival. And so, yeah, I think that winning those battles ends up being important. But what the other point is all absolutely true. Anymore, like every school recruits nationally. Like it's amazing to me how often like you'll hear say Indiana's recruiting in Florida, or Indiana has a kid that they like down in Alabama or out in California. Like it's just amazing how national all recruiting has become at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's what's his name? Current Kansas City Chief Carson Steele just came from Center Grove, and then last year Warren Central. Man, I wish I could remember all the guys that were on their defensive line.
Yeah, that whole defensive
four
line,
guys in Division I. And I'm not talking just Division I. One came to Indiana. One went to Alabama. I think one went to Wake Forest maybe. And the other one maybe not such a big J.J. Finch.
Finch going to Bama this cycle. Who maybe looking around
Tyrone Burris, Damian Shanklin. So yeah, it's they've got the players are there, but there's also the outside recruiting that you have to do, that you have to, especially players, wide receivers, quarterbacks. You don't know where they're going to come from, but is Indiana, I hate to say this sounds like a homer thing, but I can see Indiana becoming kind of a cradle of quarterbacks place because of the tutelage that they're getting. Ironically, while they weren't with Indiana, right now, if you look on the NCAA stats, both Brendan Sorsby is way up there for Cincinnati statistically. Taven Jackson is in the top 25 for throwing percentage, both former Indiana quarterbacks. Josh Hoover was an Indiana commit, but then you have Curtis Rourke last year, who was at the top of the statistic board. Fernando Mendoza now. Indiana is poised to really become a home for quarterbacks to grow.
Yes, they are. And it sounds like a homer pick, but think about it this way. We were just talking about Purdue and what they had under Jeff Brom. They were a cradle for quarterbacks then, right? And they were a team that was not necessarily viewed as a traditional power. Purdue actually has a history of that before that. Obviously, we know dating back to Joe Tiller and the guys that they had during that time as well. But as long as, they still have that offensive staff in place at Indiana, and the way that offense is set up as being very quarterback friendly, I think that it's definitely within the realm that you continue to build kind of that quarterback pipeline. And you mentioned that the 2027 quarterback commit that they have currently right now, Jamison Purcell from Illinois, just next door from Indiana. He fits in perfectly like a glove with what they like to do offensively. And he's another kid that already, and I can tell you, I know him and his family, that he fits Kirk Cignetti very well too, because he will come to Indiana with a chip on his shoulder, feeling overlooked by other programs in the region. And so it'll be the same thing, a continuation of that from what you've seen previously. So no, I think that's a spot on point, that they could become a cradle for quarterbacks moving forward. And that's the most important thing to become, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's your leader, and also just overall, Indiana seems to have, your team generally takes on the persona of a head coach, and Kirk Cignetti definitely has that chip on his shoulder. He exudes that. That is just passed on to the players. They have it. They play like it. It's the play every play. It's just all these phrases he throws out. They're not just phrases, though. That's how they live,
he operates. Yeah,
every day in, day out, with every breath. Any surprises that they haven't gotten, or that they could get from a recruiting standpoint that you've seen?
Yeah, I think I am surprised that they have not been, kind of in the mix with some of these top end kids that have been in Indiana in particular for this particular cycle. And I know that it ends up being a situation where you're recruiting a couple of years out. So I do think that 27 and even the 2028 class, as crazy as it sounds to be talking about that already, you'll start to really see the dividends there. But Indiana's got a couple of 4-star kids in the state this year. Jaquaden Guilford, a wide receiver who's going to Ohio State. Tyler Ruxer is another 4-star kid from Lincoln City in Indiana, who's going to Oklahoma, I believe. We mentioned J.J. Finch, who's a borderline 4-star, going to Alabama. So it's not like these kids are not going to Meatloaf State, right? They're not going to other random schools. They're going to very good places. And so that's, I think, the thing that surprised me a little bit is they have not already seen that level of recruiting, even though I said earlier that I think that they're moving in the right direction, and they are. It's now that next step is can you get those top kids inside of the state? I think they'll get some of those mid-tier kids interested that are from the state, but that next tier up that's being recruited from coast to coast, can they get some of those guys to stay home? And now, though, we're getting to the point to where as you continue to change the narrative around the program, you'll start to have kids that what they identify Indiana football with is Kirk Cignetti and winning, right? And so once that starts happening, then I think things will really take off.
Absolutely. Did you know that Indiana has never had a 5-star recruit in football?
I did not know that. Typically, you have some one-off, there's a crazy offensive lineman or something in a state that ends up being,
I think Gunnar Keel a long time ago may have been that, but it never happened. Okay. He flipped his choice 18 times to so many different schools at the end of the day. But yeah,
I think I think you've got a shot to break that streak next year. I think Manchin Sales. I think we have him rated as the number 22 overall in the country right now. If things were to, the cycle ended, he'd be bumped to a 5-star because usually the top 30 or so get that. So yeah, I think there's your first shot right there. But that's a little nugget I'll have to keep in mind. If he gets that 5th star, the first one ever from the state would be amazing.
First one ever, period. They've never landed a 5-star recruit. But yeah, and so but Indiana, and as far as the state goes, Indiana doesn't produce many 5-star players. Let's be honest. A lot of 4-stars, but not 5 stars. That's elite, like you just said. That's the top 30 players in the country. Well, hell, there's not 30 states, so that means right. 20 states are not going to have a 5-star.
Yeah, and you're gonna have a couple from Florida, a couple from Texas, a couple from Georgia, right there, off the rip. And so so it's definitely tough to do.
Without question. What is up next for you in the recruiting world, man?
Yeah, I'll be out on the road this week, coming a little bit closer to you guys. I'll be out in Chicago to see a couple of elite quarterbacks, seeing Trey Taylor, 4-star Nebraska commit, go up against Israel Abrams, who's being recruited kind of from coast to coast right now. Should be a really good quarterback matchup that I'll get to see in person out in Illinois this weekend.
Do you get a chance to watch many games?
Like college football games?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I sit there every week.
I know you're always busy. You've got to go to these high school games a lot and watch these guys, which are on Friday, I understand. But unless sometimes I do have Saturday games, but otherwise, no. I'm parked on the couch and watching the games because it actually helps with context of what's going on in these recruitments, right? So then, selfishly, if I'm watching, Indiana versus Iowa, and when I call a kid to discuss his visit, I know kind of the ebbs and flows of what happened in that game. And hey, if it's a linebacker made a big play, hey, what'd you think about that? So no, I try to watch as much as I can on Saturdays. I was locked in for Penn State, Oregon over the weekend, and James Franklin's latest, I guess, offensive disaster, and then also them not being able to beat a big team that's in the top 10, and then that Georgia-Alabama game as well. So no, I'm typically pretty locked in. Who do you think is the best team in the Big Ten right now?
Ohio State. I still think it's Ohio
State. I know everybody defaults to that, but I'm like, boy.
Oregon, I get it. Tough. Oregon, the problem with Oregon, and this is not even necessarily a problem, it's all of the new guys that they've cycled through. And I think that this is probably the issue that people have with Oregon. Is that I don't know if people necessarily think that Oregon is just a plug and play program in the same way that Ohio State is. Like Ohio State lost all those guys last year off of a national championship team, but you just automatically assume that their next guys are going to be good, right? I don't know that we've gotten there mentally yet with Oregon, even though maybe we should, considering what we've seen them do. They're a very talented program. They recruit very well. They coach very well. And so if that's a team, those two teams match up in the Big Ten championship, it's a coin flip. But yeah, I still would give the edge to Ohio State in part because I know that they can just draw up a play to Jeremiah Smith, get him the ball, and it's going to be successful. Like they ran that play this weekend, if you saw it, where they basically had all the wide receivers just start blocking. They threw an underneath pass to Jeremiah, and he just waltzes in for a touchdown. He's a cheat code out there. And still, I think the best player in college football, and they may have the second guy in Caleb Downs as well. So, no, I think it's Ohio State.
And I don't see a path that Ohio State loses a game. They don't play Oregon. Their toughest game will be at home to Penn State. They do have to go to Michigan, which they have had hell with.
Yeah.
But I don't think that this is going to be like it was in the past. I think they will take care of business there, and they're definitely going to take care of business against Penn State at home, I think, because they're better. But they don't have, I mean, you've got UCLA, Purdue, Rutgers. It's not too tough a way to go for Ohio State, man.
No, and with that Michigan game, if it's not going to – well, I guess we said this last year. We said if it wasn't going to happen last year, when is it going to happen for them to beat Michigan? But this year, even though it's on the road, they've got to beat them, right? Like, I mean, you can't – I don't – like, it's weird. All of the talks, the hot seat talk around Ryan Day is always kind of weird because he only can't beat Michigan recently. He beats everyone else. But, no, they have to go up there and beat them this year, right? Like, we can't lose again to Michigan, given what the rest of that schedule looks like as well. Yeah, I think Ohio State kind of walks through this schedule in the regular season undefeated.
And for Indiana fans, if they have any dreams of reaching Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship, that starts in a week and a half out in Eugene, Oregon. You cannot lose, in this league. You cannot lose because you've got Penn State ahead of you as well. And this is going to be Ohio State is not going to lose the game this year. So it's going to be between Oregon and Indiana, I truly believe, to be that other opponent. And I'm not saying Indiana's better than Oregon. I don't know. That's going to be a hell of an ask to go out there. First of all,
go out there and win it.
Crossing those 3 time zones. People kind of laugh when they say that, but it's a real thing if you look at it from a statistical standpoint, Greg.
Oh, yeah, that's why you've seen coaches all over the place complaining about it, right? Like there's a reason why they're doing that. It's because it definitely matters. And so, yeah, having your body clock be that off when you go out to play is very difficult. It also hurts that you're not only doing that, you're going out to Autzen Stadium to play in a very, very tough environment to win. Not many teams can go up there and win, and that team is good. They're, and so you're facing a lot of adversity going up there in that game. But, I wouldn't count Kirk Cignetti and Indiana out in that one, but that's going to be a really tough ask to go up there. But, yeah, it's definitely real to cross those three time zones and be able to win some of those games.
Hey, make sure you're giving Greg a follow. What is your handle? It's Greg Smith at Greg Smith Rivals.
At Greg Smith Rivals. I tried to keep it simple for you. Yep. At Greg Smith Rivals on Twitter.
But you can also find it all at thehoosier.com, part of the On3 network. Check it out for just $1 and 50% off for the entire first year. And it comes with a free subscription to The Athletic. But you're getting all of Rivals recruiting information. You're getting all of the national writers, all of the local content. It's just chocked full of all the information you can devour.
Great deal for college football fans and a great time to get in right now.
Greg, I can't thank you enough. Look forward to doing it again, man. Great to see you as always.
Yeah, talk soon, man. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Have a great one. Greg Smith from On3 Rivals joining us. We're back with plenty more from Indiana Sports Beat Radio after this break. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right. No payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing, or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition, or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Glad to have you along, as always. Man, it has been a fun day already. Lots going on this week. Tomorrow, don't forget, we're back. Dylan Sin should join us, Cal Nenrip, Zach Browning, and I'm sure we'll add someone else. Plus, we will have lots of stuff from today's open basketball scrimmage at Indiana, as I will be heading out there as soon as I finish with the show for the second time this season. And that is the only second time ever that I have been been able to go to an IU open basketball practice, because they don't happen. They didn't happen in the past. I mean, they've happened before, but rarely. And it has been a long time, a lot of years since that was the case. But we'll have, we get to speak with guys, and we'll have, I believe that we're going to get to video certain highlights. So hopefully we'll have that, but it'll be afterwards, nothing sent out during the event. And, but we'll bring plenty of that all to you tomorrow. You can go to the ISB YouTube channel for all of that stuff. And most importantly, how many of you are subscribers to thehoosier.com? You hear me talk about it all the time, but it is the site that is putting out the most content, the most up-to-date. Broke the story about D'Angelo Pons this weekend. There are 2 exclusive basketball stories up there in recruiting right now that the guys at the Hoosier broke. Then you have all the people from On3 that contribute, whether it's recruiting, whether it's national articles, the Field of 68. You get a free subscription to The Athletic. I don't know what else in the world you could get, but it would be greatly appreciative if you could do that. Let me know if you are a subscriber. For those of you that are a subscriber, I'm going to start, I'm going to put you in the contest for a giveaway. I've got to go pick those up here soon, but we've got some pullovers that are coming in. And I think I mentioned earlier, people have asked about ISB merch. We're getting that put together as soon as possible again as well. So appreciate all of that. Appreciate all of you, most importantly. And Greg Smith, Mike DeCourcy, for joining us on the program today. We're back tomorrow to do it all again, but we need you back as well. If you haven't hit the, just select make sure your radio station is locked where it is, and you've got that button locked so it stays there. And the same on YouTube. Subscribe. Hit the like button. Let us know you like what you hear. We appreciate you guys immensely. And back to do it all again tomorrow. Until then, I am Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.